It's being called a historic win for patients and nurses. A tentative deal has been reached that would avert a nurses' strike at Twin Cities hospitals, including North Memorial Health Hospital in Robbinsdale. The strike was scheduled to start on Sunday, but that has been called off. Reporter Jason Malello reached out to both sides and has more on the tentative agreement.
The Minnesota Nurses Association is calling this tentative agreement a historic win for nurses and patients. If the contract is ratified, nurses will have a say in setting staffing levels, a major and long-standing sticking point with hospital executives. Back in September, 15,000 nurses walked the picket line, including nurses here at North Memorial in Robbinsdale. Nurses in the Twin Cities have been working without contracts since June. They were set to strike again starting Sunday. But after 24 hours of nonstop negotiations on Monday and early Tuesday, both sides appear to have avoided a second strike. Under the new contract, Twin Cities nurses will also get an 18% pay raise over 3 years. It's the largest increase for Twin Cities union nurses in more than 20 years. In addition, the new contracts would include unprecedented language that will give nurses a say in hospital staffing. Union leaders also say it would protect nurses from discipline when they raise concerns about unsafe assignments. Mary Turner, a nurse at North Memorial and president of the Minnesota Nurses Association, says, quote, hospital executives have been pushing nurses out of the profession by understaffing our units, end quote. She says this tentative agreement will help to keep nurses at the bedside. Union nurses must now vote on the tentative agreement. That vote is expected later this week. In Robbinsdale, Jason Malillo, CCX News.
The Brooklyn Park City Council, meanwhile, gave final approval to an ordinance licensing products containing THC, the main intoxicating ingredient found in hemp and marijuana plants. Under Brooklyn Park's ordinance, THC products must be sold behind a counter or locked away for employees to access first. The city will also require a $1,000 annual licensing fee for businesses that sell THC edibles and beverages. Officials say the fee will cover anticipated costs of administration and enforcement. Before the final vote, residents and council members spoke on the pros and cons of the ordinance and THC sales overall.
When I look at this ordinance, and I know that this coming year, there is a proposal that marijuana will be legalized here in Minnesota, this is not the smartest way of doing it.
We have kids using ghost guns and guns in general to buy marijuana. If you think that legalizing THC is going to get rid of that problem, it's going to make it worse, because you're going to have 21-year-olds buying that stuff and selling it to high school kids.
If we don't pass anything, what that means is we actually have no guide, no regulation, which means it can be sold however way and we have no say, which is actually more dangerous.
The state legislature legalized THC sales last summer. An attorney for Brooklyn Park says if cities banned the sale of THC products, it would set them up for lawsuits. Also in Brooklyn Park, an issue city council members admit is quite controversial. On a 4-3 vote, the city council opted to keep its garbage container storage as is without changes. Under the current ordinance, the city requires residents to screen garbage cans if they're stored in the side yard. A proposed change would have removed the screening requirement if they're stored along the sides of homes. But council members in the majority say they heard from more residents who don't want the city to make changes. Those in favor of the change felt it could help people with disabilities and not burden residents with extra screening costs. St. Paul Winter Carnival fun will include the artistic touch of a local resident. 31-year-old Gino Oco of Brooklyn Park created the 4 colorful buttons for the Winter Carnival. According to officials, he's the first person of color to design the buttons in the carnival's 137-year history. The Brooklyn Park artist says he is honored to participate in this winter festival. Oco says it was crucial for the buttons to include diversity.
Everywhere I go is diverse, at least in my world, so it's very diverse and stuff. So, coming from Brooklyn Park, I'm used to it. So I painted what I see all the time.
Oco recently spray painted a mural on the side of Waterside International Market in Brooklyn Park. He's hoping the bright colors will lift the spirits of the neighborhood and bring the community together. A Brooklyn Park family who opens their home each year to collect toys is planning to do so again on Saturday, December 10th. Jerry Moskowitz is already gathering up toys in his home in preparation for the 37th year of collecting a mound of toys for Toys for Tots. It's so big, the Marines come to his house to pick up the load. He's picked up toys during the pandemic and hopes inflation doesn't hamper people from giving this year. The greatest need is always gifts for teenagers.
It's a belief that kids deserve to have something to open up on the holidays. It's not just the kids. That's the biggest part. There's a lot of parents that have to make tough decisions during these times.
Jerry's address, he said we could share it with you. It's 9255 Telford Bay Road in Brooklyn Park. And he invites the community to stop by between noon and 9 p.m. on Saturday and make this donation a part of your family's holiday tradition. And mark your calendars if you haven't already for the holiday train. It's coming through our area on December 13th and making a stop in Golden Valley. Canadian Pacific's holiday train stops in more than 24 Minnesota towns on its annual ride through the northern U.S. And at each stop, there's a musical performance and a check given to the local food bank. This year, the train will be stopping in Golden Valley at 4:45 p.m. on December 13th. They will stop at the railway crossing on Golden Hills Drive. People are encouraged to bring food donations and toys for Prism's Holiday Toy Shop.